Hello there, good morning, and welcome to Agate Newspaper Headlines Review. It's good to be back with you today on the program. And my name is Shido Taka. This program is reaching you on Agate Television and simultaneously transmitted on Agate Radio 95.5. Join us on the program today as we explore what's happening around Nigeria and beyond. Joining me today is our public affairs analyst and media expert, Teve Akasi. It's good to have you join on Agate Newspaper Headlines Review today.
Thank you, Shido, and happy Children's Day.
Yes, happy Children's Day to you too.
We're all children.
Yes, you look the part. You look the part.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So watch us on Agate Television. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. Is Agate Radio TV 1 on Facebook. We are also on YouTube. Is Agate Television, Agate TV, and then you can also watch and follow the conversation on all other social media platforms. And without wasting time, let's go to our first paper for today, which is Agate Newspaper. And the banner headline says, Army raids bandits hideouts in Sankara, destroy Konyo's camp. If you can't separate madmen from mechanics, Benue will treat all of us as madmen. Totiv to Fulanis in Benue. Benue Hills National Assembly for passage of Unified Election Day Bill. Alleged defamation. Court orders substituted service on Governor Alia Kula Uzan. Still from Agate News today, Ukum elders back youths gives Suswam 7 days to apologize. And then Benue Local Government Election Appeals Panel fixes May 26 for hearing. Police kill 400 level university student in Benue. And one thing we can all agree is the story is still awash of what is happening, the insecurity around Benue. And Army raids bandits hideouts in Sankara, destroy Konyo's camp. What do we make of this?
Well, it's my take is that the military doing their work is commendable. I have nothing to blame them over, trying to go after those who are suspected to be lawbreakers. Now, where there is an issue in that is we also have lawbreakers who are not just breaking the law, they are killing people. We have talked about this, and I expect that our security agencies will extend that dragnet to the armed herdsmen, those who invade our communities and kill our people. Yesterday I saw videos on social media of a 2-year-old child who was killed, slaughtered in Gwe West local government area. The chairman, the video clip showed the chairman of that local government. He was almost at the verge of tears.
Yes.
You know, calling for help. Now, I expect that as much as our military are going after those who have been branded local militia, they should also they should extend that onslaught to the invaders. These invaders, our security agencies know exactly where they come from. And so one expects that those who invade our communities and kill. The other day, a priest was attacked on Makudi Naka Road, a Catholic priest. Now, if the clergy are not also spared, then you can, in war times, women, children, and the vulnerable are spared. But here we have a situation where the children are also victims of attack. Yeah. So you know that this is genocide taking place. It is not a joke. So the military and other security agencies should look into this matter. If the herdsmen are camping in forests, our security agencies should use their intelligence and their equipment to detect where those headers, or those armed terrorists are hiding, and flush them out. And our people will be happy.
Right.
So I don't believe that our people will support local militia, because Benue people are peace-loving people. So I have no comments over what they did in Sankra, going after the camp of a local militia. I'm not a security man. I don't know. I don't have the intelligence they have. I'm only appealing that as much as they go after the local militia, they should also go after the armed herdsmen who are killing our people. Some communities are... Now, this is unfortunate. Benue is the food basket of Nigeria. And if you do not allow the farmers to go to the farm, this is the cropping season. So when are they going to have the harvest? I mean, when are they going to plant the crops for a bountiful harvest during the harvesting season? And if that doesn't happen, then the basket will be empty. And when the basket of Benue is empty, it will affect Nigeria, whether we like it or not.
That's true. All right, so you mentioned the fact that the chairman of one of the local governments affected, Agwe West, actually was out, expressing his emotions about what is happening. We also had a federal lawmaker also do the same on his Facebook platform. And one wonders, on one side, everybody seems to be saying the leaders are not giving us enough in terms of fighting insecurity in Benue. On the other side, we have leaders who are, gotten to that emotional point about issues like this. Do you think we lack the ideas to battle this?
No. It is the political will that is lacking at the moment. We have said this many times here. The government of the state appears not to be convinced that those who are attacking Benue people are armed headers. In fact, when the attacks resumed sometime last year, the government came out many times to exonerate, to absorb the headers of all blame, until recently that the evidence became too glaring that the government began to say some things in that direction. So what has been lacking, in my estimation, is the political will. And this government has all that it takes to tackle this problem if it wants to. Number one, they have a law which is called Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranches Establishment Law, enacted in 2017. That law can be enforced. And if the law is enforced, number one, they have to, if they are serious about enforcement of that law, then they have to restore the livestock guards and empower them. That is the job, that is the enforcement component of the law. Restore the livestock guards, empower them, give them vehicles, let them go to the bushes and chase away the armed headers who come accompanied by people bearing AK-47 and AK-49. When the livestock guards go there, the headers run away. So that is number one. Sincerity has to be there. The government of the state has to demonstrate that sincerity or purpose by restoring the functions of the livestock guards. They accused the previous government of using the livestock guards to impound vehicles, impound animals. And they said that was what resulted in the attacks and killings of Benue people. And now they have taken out the livestock guards, yet the attacks are persisting. So you see, that was a lie. Now, there has to be political will, which the governor of the state, Governor Hyacinth Umemalia, has to lead from the front. He has to lead from the front. This is not a matter of speaking good English. It's not a matter of sending condolence messages. No. We've had so many condolence messages. This is a time that the man who is leading the state should fold his sleeves and be in the front of tackling this problem. Speak to the issues and let the headers know that there is government on ground in Benue State. And you cannot come here to take away this land, because this land is recognized by the Constitution of Nigeria as a sub-national of this country, and you do not have the power to come to Benue and take over the land. So I expect His Excellency the Governor to lead from the front as far as this insecurity matter is concerned. We are yet to see that, but he has what it takes. Number one, he's very intelligent. Number two, he has a lot of resources at his disposal, and he has the security agencies also willing to support him. So we believe that if his government wants to tackle this problem, they can tackle it. It is as simple.
All right, so let's move to something else in Agate newspaper today, and this is the headline on "Police Kill 400 level university student in Benue." Elsewhere in the country last week, we also had a situation where a child was also, sadly killed as well. So this again brings up questions of police brutality. Mm-hmm. Is that something that is awakening?
It's a worrying trend that calls for real rethinking, and I expect that our policemen and women, yes, they are trying in many instances, but perhaps they need reorientation to understand that they are to protect the civil society, to protect the populace, and going after innocent people should be discouraged. Imagine that child. Imagine I talked about the killing of a child in Ngwe West yesterday, though not by the police.
No.
Those children will be today celebrating the Children's Day.
Children's Day.
But they are nowhere here now. So professionalism has to be encouraged in the force, in the police force. Those who are bad eggs, the bad elements amongst them, should either be retrained and given new orientation to understand that they ought to be the friend of the people. Like they say, the police is your friend.
Right.
They have to really live by that creed of being the friend of the people.
Okay, so let's move to another paper this morning. This is the Punch newspaper, and the banner headline: Tension in PDP. Governors BOT reconvene as NEC meeting stalls. Damagun uncertain about NEC meeting. Atiku, others shun National Caucus meeting. Other top stories in the Punch this morning: Insurgency, Tinubu, Zulum in talks over forest guards deployment. Suspected headers kill cub, 41 Benue villagers. And still from the Punch this morning: ground rent, FCTA, shut PDP, FIRS, and NAPTIP headquarters. And then $750 million loan. World Bank pressures Nigeria for fresh tax hike. Oyo pays Oshun 5 billion naira, a Lautech ownership deal. And still from the Punch newspaper this morning: Tinubu to inaugurate Lagos Calabar Highway Section 1 Saturday. Let's talk about the tension in PDP. That's the headline.
Well, that is why it is the PDP, the oldest party in the current political dispensation. PDP began in 1998, and it has remained the PDP. I speak with some because maybe some I have a bias in that, but it is also the truth that the PDP has remained. Other political parties have come and gone. The ACN, CPC, many of them have come and gone. But the PDP has remained what it has been, the giant of democracy in Nigeria. So these challenges will come and go, and I believe so. PDP has run into even more difficult times than what we have now. It got to a point that PDP had 2 national chairmen. You remember the time of this guy in Borno State dragging the chairmanship of the PDP and so on. I think that was the time of President Goodluck Jonathan. So PDP has seen worse times, yet it bounced back, and beautifully so. So I expect that what is happening now will still be settled amicably, sooner than later, because it is a family, But we have to also caution certain people in the PDP to remember that the party, it is not any man's property to pocket. The PDP is not anybody's property. What we have seen now is a power game of people dragging the control, dragging for the soul of the party. But I believe that these things will be settled before 2027. Of course, all the major political parties have crises. APC has its own crisis, even in Benue State here. Labour Party has its own crisis at the national level and elsewhere. And many of them, the coalition, which is just coming up, is already being rattled by crisis. The camp of El-Rufai, the camp of Atiku Abubakar are already dragging even over the name, whether it should be ADC, that logo that will be adopted, or it will be SDP. I mean, yes, SDP that will be adopted. So you can see that none of these political parties is exempted from crisis. So PDP is just going through a similar routine that happens when the party is no longer in power. Of course, you usually see if there is a government in place. If, for instance, the president of the country is a member of that party, he takes control, and everybody listens to him. So, but when the party is not in power, you will usually find forces springing up, because if you put 10 people in a room and close that door and leave them there, they are knowing themselves for the first time. Usually a leader will emerge, because some people are given the edge. So when there is no power in the hands of a political party, usually you will find skirmishes of this nature. People wanting to lord it over others and say, look, I am the head boy here, so all of you will have to listen to me and do what I want. So what is happening is not out of the ordinary.
Okay, so you are not concerned that people like Atiku, others, Sean National Caucus meeting?
They are already on their way out. I mean, many of them have left already. They are just holding that PDP cards, waiting for the time they will declare. These people are already out of it, and PDP are saying that it's good riddance. I don't want to complete that statement.
Yeah.
So that farewell to them. They have had no value really to add in recent times, because Atiku, for instance, has been accused of abandoning the party anytime the party loses election,
right,
and leaves for Dubai, stays there till the next round of elections, and then he comes back, brings a lot of dollars, and contests for the ticket of the party, wins the ticket of the party, and if he doesn't get the of course it happens, he doesn't win the elections, he runs back to Dubai and stays there for the next 4 years. So he has been, and El-Rufai is one of those who have been the hottest critics of Atiku Abubakar.
Okay.
The same El-Rufai now who is romancing with Atiku. That's why I called that coalition a meeting of strange bedfellows, which I don't see heading to anywhere, because certainly they will if Atiku says, of course he will insist on picking the party ticket, the presidential party ticket, and El-Rufai will not be comfortable with that, because El-Rufai is from information I have, El-Rufai is eyeing the presidential ticket, vice presidential ticket of the coalition, so that the presidential candidate will come from the south, according to what I hear, will come from the south. So El-Rufai will be from the north, and that person will do one term, because the south is already on the throne. So El-Rufai, according to his calculation, will now take over after 4 years. So he is eyeing the vice presidential ticket, and Atiku wants to be president by all costs. So you can already see the build up to implosion in that coalition. I don't see that coalition as any threat to the PDP and any other political party. I'm sorry, but I have to be candid as far
all
as
right. We can only just sit and watch as it unfolds. But before we leave the story, there were also issues of ground rent. FCTA shots PDP, FRS, and NAPTIP headquarters. And one would expect organizations like the FRS not to, be in this kind of story. But in Vanguard newspaper, the report says ceiling of Secretariat, PDP fumes as Tinubu intervenes. And of course, there has been an extension for that to be paid. What's your reaction to this?
Well, in this country, paying taxes is something that many people don't want to do.
Yes.
How do you tell me that for almost 30 years or more, you didn't pay ground rent? But the blame really goes to the FCT ministry since 1999 that it was, or even before then that it was created. What were they doing? They didn't know that a collection of ground rent is part of their job description. And if they knew, how did they allow those people to own, or owe rather, to owe the government that long? And interestingly, the Federal Inland Revenue,
yes,
which collects taxes from people, is found guilty of defaulting in paying ground rent. So when I saw that story, I said, the hunter has become the hunted.
Exactly. So in my mind.
But of course, they came out to issue a statement,
right,
and so on. And then the PDP, I think that the FCT minister only wants to show the rest of Nigeria that, look, I'm here to I mean business. And I am not, there's no favoritism, yes, in the actions that we are taking. So even my political party has defaulted, and the law has caught up with it. So by sealing the National Secretariat of the PDP, the FCT minister was only being fair and neutral to all, so that no one should accuse him of, because certainly in his office, there are people who are not sympathizers of the PDP.
Right.
And if they see that the PDP is part of those who have not paid ground rent, but the minister has asked that the party should be exempted.
Right,
I mean, the owner of that property, rather, where PDP is housed, has not paid ground rent, but the minister has exempted the party from it. Then that would have been seen as selective enforcement of this thing. So what he did, I think he was fair. But the president also did the right thing by intervening and giving that 14-day ultimatum for them to pay. People should learn to pay taxes. It's something that helps the economy, right? Where I have a problem is if the enforcement of the taxation is lopsided, is not fair, is partial, then we will have problems with it. But aside that, there is nothing wrong in enforcing. Wike is seen to be, many people call him the controversial person. So any action he takes makes headlines, yeah, and everybody talks about it and so on.
Okay, and talking about tax, $750 million loan, World Bank pressures Nigeria for fresh tax hike. And the report says the World Bank has asked the federal government to issue a presidential order raising excise duties on sales under the $750 million loan granted to Nigeria to reform its non-oil revenue mobilization efforts. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know why the World Bank has become the advisor-in-chief of the Nigerian government. Quagmire, where the World Bank, the IMF sit somewhere and dish directives. I want to call those directives because, in other words, they are saying if you do not pay these debts, of course there will be sanctions. So I think the Nigerian government should rather look into ways of trying to avoid situations like this, where we begin to play into the hands of the World Bank and the IMF and other financial institutions, global financial institutions. We don't need that kind of thing. Now, it is not the job of the World Bank to tell us how we raise our resources. If someone collects a loan from you, is it your job to go and teach him how he will raise the money to pay you back? Already Nigerians have faced, the economy is very difficult.
Right.
And you are advising the federal government to increase taxes, to increase tariffs, in order to raise money and pay your loan. You see, so where is the love of the World Bank on Nigerians, if I may ask this question? Because we are also part of we are also covered by the treaties and charters that establish the World Bank. We are also citizens of this world, and Nigerians also deserve to benefit from whatever the World Bank is doing. So if you are asking the federal government to increase tariffs, to increase taxes on consumables, on domestic products, in order to raise money and pay you the loan, so it means you want things to be harder, to be harsher for Nigerians. I do not support this call, and I expect the Tinubu administration to diplomatically find a way of turning down that suggestion and looking for other ways to be able to raise the money and repay the loan they took from the World Bank. Okay,
before we move away from Punch newspaper and also take a break on Agate newspaper headlines review this morning, we have insurgency, issue of insecurity again, and Tinubu Zulum in talks over forest guards deployment, and the talk about forest guards coming to save the situation has been on for a while. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, it's security. No matter the efforts that are put in place to checkmate breaches of security, I am for it. Whether they are forest guards, whether they are called vigilante, whether they are called volunteer guards or civil society protection guards, or whichever apparatus, whichever moniker they are given, whatever that can be done to save lives should be done. And whatever collaboration that can be made, whether it's between the state government and the federal government, and even non-governmental actors, whatever can be done, let that be done, and done soon, because our people need to go to their bed with their eyes closed in whichever part of this country. If there is security breach in Borno State, we may sit in Benue and think that we are not part of that, but we have Benue people in Borno State.
Right.
So if they are affected, we are also affected. Like someone wrote a book, we are all casualties. Whether we are at in the thick of war, or whether we are at home, we are casualties. Because if our loved ones are affected in any part of this country, then we are affected. Because security and insecurity anywhere is the responsibility of everyone.
All right. Thank you so much for still staying there with us on Agate newspaper headlines review. It's time for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back this morning. Don't go away. Welcome back to our Gate newspapers headline review this morning on our Gate Television. We are also streaming live on our Gate Radio 95.5. You can listen at the moment, and also you can join the conversation on all our social media platforms. Is Arcade Radio TV 1 on Facebook. We are also on YouTube, is Arcade TV, and all the social media platforms as well. Join the conversation as we talk about what's happening around Nigeria and beyond. And I still have with me in the studios this morning our analyst, Teve Akase. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
It is my pleasure.
And let's move to the Nation newspaper. Businesses hit by airlines flight delays, cancellations, 33,235 delayed, 1,189 cancelled out of 70,543 trips last year. And then still from the Nation newspaper this morning, we have 2025 UTME results rank best in 12 years despite glitches. PDP, Access Bank, others get 14-day waiver to clear FCT ground rent. Seaside bombing attempt foiled at Abuja Army Barracks. And still from the Nation this morning, Tinubu in Lagos for ECOWAS at 50 event. Uzodinma fires Attorney General. And no Borno Council will fall to insurgents. Zulum vows. Governor briefs President. And then Speaker Abbas withdraws compulsory voting bill. Panel gets 4 weeks on 753 duplexes. And the banner headline, businesses hit by airlines flight cancellations and delays.
Delays and even cancellations are not new to Nigeria. They are not even new in the world. We have is poor communication. Our people do not see the need to give timely information to flyers, to travelers. Now, you schedule a trip to Lagos from Abuja tomorrow, and then your flight, the airline knows that there may be delays or whatever. Some of the cases I've seen there, the issue of aviation fuel, the
Yes.
cost of that, and even parking space in some of these airports as the reasons for the delays and even outright cancellation of flights. Why don't you inform travelers on time? When you are running into such crisis, you put out information to people. Let them know this is what is going on. Some people may shift their trips that are not very urgent, and then they will reschedule their people will take their time, and at their convenient time they will travel. But when you don't put information out there, and then it gets to someone prepares to travel tomorrow and is only getting the information in the evening on the eve of his trip, then you expect the person to be frustrated. So the problem I see in these things is poor information on the part of government, that is the aviation authorities,
Right.
and the airlines themselves. They don't inform people adequately, and it's very poor. This has to improve. The issue of flights, delayed flight cancelled, sometimes it may even be natural, it may be on natural causes, right? Sometimes weather can be poor, and then visibility will be too poor for a flight, for an aircraft to move. That can also cause a delay or even a cancellation. So, but when you do not inform the passengers, inform the people, inform the customers, the clients, because in this case, those who fly are the clients, they are the customers. So that's what I think needs to improve in this country.
Okay, so you feel the communication will, in a way, make them make alternative plans, or
absolutely. If government, for instance, plans to build a second runway for maybe Akanu Ibam Airport in Enugu State, or the Lagos International Airport, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, they want to maybe build a second or even a third one, inform Nigerians like many months ahead. Let people know that this is the plan, and when the time comes, there may be delayed flights or something. Those who plan to travel through the Lagos International Airport, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, may reschedule their flights to take off from neighboring airports, right?
Right.
There to connect Abuja, and from there they travel. So, but when you do not inform the people adequately, and then in other countries, aviation is given a priority because air travel is not just the safest or the fastest. It is one of the most the one that draws revenue to any country the most in terms of transportation. So when you do not give attention, that priority to it, then you are the one losing. If you want to refurbish, if you want to carry out renovations to upgrade facilities at the airports, let the people know. If, for instance, Abuja Airport, the other time Abuja Airport was being remodeled, right?
Yes.
And we were to travel. We left Makudi for Kaduna and traveled from Kaduna, right? Now, that helps. But even that information wasn't given in time. So when you give people information, they prepare themselves. So the issue of now you are losing money when you do that, because when you do not give proper information and people get for an airline, for instance, people get frustrated. They may decide not to use your airline
service again.
Your services next time.
That's true.
So in business, government should know that aviation is big business. And when you give that attention to it, you will make more money, and the airlines too stand to gain more when they keep up to date with their customers. Give them proper information, tell them ahead. Now, do you know that Nigeria is one of the countries in the world, even in Africa here, that electricity will be taken without notice to anybody? NEPA, I still call them NEPA. I'm sorry, that's
that's gone.
Now, power holding company will just take light, and for 2 weeks, 1 month, and even longer, there will be no information. They won't come to the radio to tell anybody. They won't send notices on social media to explain to anybody why there is no electricity in their vicinity. You do that in other countries and you go to court. Somebody goes to court and sues the power authorities and claims big money. But in Nigeria here, if you sue them, your neighbors will even come, oh boy, now what for you? So now you know one way we get power again. You carry NEPA, go court, eh? Your people will be the ones who will be very angry with you. But in other countries, if you have to take light, if you are not going to provide light for 1 hour, you inform the people almost a week that tenants. That's how it is done. But in Nigeria, information is zero. They keep blank. They don't tell you anything. And if you dare go to protest at that office, they will send thugs after you. This is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I have things I'm mentioning here and others that I may not mention here. We are a great people, and I expect that
from the Nation newspaper this morning, let's take a look at the story. Last time we were talking about the issues surrounding the 2020, around the situation
I don't know. I really do not have an idea, because just after that result came out, UTME JAMB itself said the performance was very poor.
Right.
So what has happened after a few weeks? Is it not the same result we are talking about? The same result that they rated as very poor. That what was the percentage? 70%. According to what they said, 70% of the students performed below average. And so the same result is now being hailed as the best in how many years? 25 years?
Yes.
So perhaps that is...
In 12 years.
Perhaps that is the next wonder of the world. How do you berate something this morning and rate that same thing in the evening?
Without clarifications.
What has happened? Is it an image-making stunt? What has
Changed, yeah.
What has changed that JAMB is now telling us that the examination is one of the best when they said that more than 70% did not get above what it was, the rating was very, very low of this result. So whatever it is, I don't work in JAM. I don't know what has happened there. So my take is that I hope that subsequent examinations will not witness this glitch
Right.
that resulted in students or applicants getting very low grades in the examinations that we got in the last outing. JAM should work on their systems. They should improve the ICT department and make it to be more effective. And parents should also help their students, I mean their children, to study harder. If the problem was on the side of candidates, the candidates in the next examinations should also do better, and JAM should ensure that there is no glitch going forward.
All right. So let's move ahead to the Nigeria Tribune this morning. The banner headline says, still on ground rent debt, Tinubu saves PDP others, FCTA gives them 14 days to pay up. Outcry great ceiling of PDP Secretariat, FRS, order defaulters officers. PDP Films says, democracy under attack. Party holds National Caucus meeting at Bauchi Governor's Lodge. And still from the Nigeria Tribune, NPA Dangote to deepen maritime industry growth, expand export operations, target $7 million daily revenue through fertilizer export. Election of additional successor TELPS agenda as 6,000 AFDB delegates meet in Abidjan. And still from Nigeria Tribune, 4 reasons why Adeleke cannot join APC. Group says, Hajj 2025, Saudi Arabia deports Sheikh Gumi. And still from Nigeria Tribune, mobile police other officer, 41 others killed by suspected headers in Benue. A mobile police officer, 41 others killed by suspected headers in Benue. And then reps bow to pressure, withdraw compulsory voting bill. And still from Nigeria Tribune, sit-at-home protests cost over 700 deaths in Southeast, according to report. It is inaccurate, unsubstantiated, says IPOB. Now let's go to the story. Reps bow to pressure, withdraw compulsory voting bill. We're talking about the compulsory voting bill.
I'm happy they have listened to the voice of reason and have decided to withdraw that bill. That bill was really, I saw it as like an insult, to the sensibilities of the people of this country. And I talked about it, I think last week or so. How do you initiate a bill to compel Nigerians to vote at elections when you are not looking for ways to improve the electoral system? What should concern us is to see how rigging of elections will stop in this country, how manipulation of results will stop, and the vote will count. When Nigerians go to the polls and cast their ballots, the results should reflect the true outing, the true ballot should come out like, this is the person we voted. That is what should concern our lawmakers. They should be thinking about, if we are going full electronical in our voting system, let's be talking about, those are the conversations that should engage the thinking of our lawmakers at this point, not how to compel someone who is looking for a meal to feed his family and is even not sure that if he goes to the polling unit and casts his vote, that vote will count. That is what has developed apathy over the years in Nigeria, that votes are no longer counted. Votes are not counting at all. Since 1993, when Abiola was unanimously elected in this country, the presidential elections have not been any near that. So that is what, to a point that the late President Yar'Adua had to admit. When he was elected, he admitted that the votes that brought him, that the electoral system that brought him was flawed. And that was why he took steps to improve on the electoral system. And luckily, his vice then, President Goodluck Jonathan, took over when Yaradua died, and completed that process and gave us the PVC in 2015, and he became a victim of it. That is how to improve a system. And so I expected that the standard that Yaradua and Jonathan began or started setting should have been continued, should have been sustained in a way that by this time Nigeria should be talking about full electronic voting. If we want to enhance network or GSM penetration in the hinterlands of this country, it can be done. It can be done. And when you have network coverage in all parts of this country, then electronic voting becomes an easy thing. There will be no glitch. That word glitch at INEC servers. So that is where we should be headed at this point. Improve the electoral system, get the vote to count, and let Nigerians have confidence in the ballot.
Process, yeah.
When they have confidence in the ballot, then people who are elected, we know that, oh, the people are watching us, and if we do not do well, then we will not return during the second term bid.
Right.
And corruption will also reduce. A lot of things will begin to move well when the votes count, when the votes really count.
Okay, so let's touch on one paper before we go on Agate newspaper headlines review this morning, and that is the Vanguard newspaper. Still the story on the ceiling of a PDP secretariat is there in the Vanguard as the banner headline. And then other top stories: congestion hits Lagos ports and amid truck restrictions. And still from Vanguard, Edo Delta, kidnappers turn residents into cash cows. Kidnappers again in Kubwa Estate hold residents hostage, abduct two. That's from Vanguard newspaper this morning. DPO feared dead as youth set Kano police station ablaze. 42 killed in fresh headers attack on Benue communities. And then Saudi Arabia deports Sheikh Gumi barred from Hajj. Now the story on Sheikh Gumi is concerning. You know, the Saudi Arabian authorities have prevented the Kaduna-based Islamic cleric Sheikh Gumi from performing the 2025 Hajj exercise. So in a post on his Facebook page on Monday, the cleric confirmed that he had returned to the country, adding that the Saudi authorities were uncomfortable with his presence in the Holy Land, despite having issued him a visa. What do you make of this?
Certainly they might have got intelligence reports around him. He has been very, he has got himself involved in a lot of sensitive issues, security issues, to the extent of being a go-between, being a negotiator in chief.
Yes.
Between the government and the bandits. And such a person can be a threat anywhere in the world. And Saudi, you know, Saudi Arabia has not been immersed in crisis. If you take a look, they have been, that country has, they've kept, you know, you don't have all these issues around Saudi Arabia. So they may not want an individual who has a dossier of questionable records, you know. How do you know these bandits to an extent that they call you to negotiate between them and people to issues of amnesty, issues of ransom, and all that? So I believe that the Saudi authorities have found certain information around this man that they are not comfortable with him being in their country. They might have tagged him persona non grata. They might have tagged him a threat to peace in Saudi Arabia. Okay. I don't have details of that, but since he has also confirmed that they are not comfortable with his presence, then it means they have found a lot more. But you know, they may not come out to say it, but certainly they have certain things.
So why issue him a visa if you feel uncomfortable with him being in your country?
Well, perhaps, you know, there can be errors in some the human nature is maybe errors happened somewhere and the visa was issued before checks were carried out, and they later found out that, oh, this guy is not supposed to be here.
So what does this now, finally, what does this tell of the image of our country?
That's the same thing I'm saying. Someone like that guy, if I were to If I were to advise the federal government, I would say this guy shouldn't be walking the streets freely. He knows a lot that he should be explaining to the DSS and other security agencies the lot that he knows. He knows a lot. So why do you keep such a person, free? In other countries, people like that are used for as agents, But I don't know. Well, our security agencies know better.
Right. And it will interest you to know that the Nigerian authorities, according to him, have pledged to immediately take up the issues with the Saudi authorities.
They should have been the ones informing the Saudi authorities about Gumi, not Saudi, telling Nigeria what they should do. This guy has been here for the years,
right,
talking tough, threatening the government and saying, if you do not do this, there will be this consequence. If you do not do this, there will be... I said, in our country, someone is making such outrageous statements, such bold statements of threat, and he's free?
Okay.
Come on.
All right. This is where we say goodbye on Agate Newspaper Headlines Review this morning. I'd like to thank you so much, our public affairs analyst and media expert, for joining us on the program. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure too.
Thank you, and join us again same time next week on Agate Television when we return for Agate Newspaper Headlines Review. Also on other social media platforms, and you can visit www.agateradiotv.com for more. My name is Shido Taka. Do have a wonderful day. Good morning.